Or I do feel like I'm really interested in all this other stuff besides real estate, and sometimes that double-edged sword of like, yeah, I can really buddy up to somebody. I can feel like I can build a relationship. Sometimes I get lost in that. You know, if you're sitting at lunch and you're talking about real estate, and I'm like, yeah, how old were your kids again?
Yeah,
got to come back.
Welcome to the Mountain West Podcast.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. Today, we have a very, very exciting episode and one that's very near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about tenant rep and specifically retail tenant rep. And who else would we ever have on a podcast to talk about retail tenant rep than the two superstars of tenant rep in this market, the Adams.
Yeah, Adams.
The Adams, Adam Hawks, Adam Lewis.
Thanks for having us.
What's up?
These guys know tenant rep like the back of their hand. And I actually have a tenant rep background. That's kind of where I came from. So this one's going to be fun. Why don't we start with you guys giving us like an origin story, where you came from,
Want me to go first?
what hole you crawled out of, like how did you get to where you are in this super successul state now?
Mine started about 25 pounds ago, Chad. Okay.
Not that origin story.
Oh, man. I was 22 years old, a wife, no kids, needed to make some money, and so I picked the wrong profession. Now, I got started when I was 21 or 22 years old in this business. And it's funny because the guy that brought me into the business is also a friend of Adam's. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of intersected by our dads or our grandfathers, but I got started doing retail leasing in northern Utah.
And who was the person?
Tony Richardson.
Oh, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony was.
And Tony worked with Robert Cooper,
Right.
Yep.
And Robert also brought you into the business.
And Chad.
Yep. And that was the first person I worked for.
Yeah.
In commercial real estate was Robert.
And I think that's what we find in the business,
Yep.
just all these intersecting paths all the time.
Yep.
So I spent years doing that. I met Chad in the course of that, and then kind of gravitated from just doing some landlord work to coming down to Salt Lake, expanding a little bit, and now do some tenant work in Montana, Wyoming, and Utah. And not a great flashy story, but
You're a tenant rep broker. That's why it's not flashy.
Rest in peace, Tony.
yeah, rest in peace, Tony, and rest in peace, Robert Cooper.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Great
Yeah.
guys. Both
Yeah.
great guys.
Yeah.
Kind of wild, right?
So
Go
ahead, Adam.
You got started from him, and that's how it went.
yeah.
All right. I got started. I was introduced to Robert and Taylor DeBry from a guy named Tim and Adam Fenton. They were doing some work with Robert and Taylor and had made the call over to them for me and teed me up. But Robert, in Robert fashion, made me call a few times and
Really
tested me
worked
out.
for it.
Yeah. So that's how I got my start, honestly. And I wouldn't be where I am today without, Robert or Taylor or even Tim, give me that shot. But it originally started when I was working at Supersonic Car Wash on Van Winkle out in Holiday.
Oh, yeah.
That's where like Stuart Thane would come through, Mike Lewinquist would come through, Tom Williamson, all these guys that were commercial real estate developers. They're coming through and
They all had nicer cars than they could afford.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good. And then Tim made a call to Robert, and this was in 2002, right after the Olympics. And I got a chance to go interview with them, and they just put me to work. Really, they locked me in a room and put a Post-it note on the wall that said 2 questions: Are you represented? Do you have a need? And then handed me a sheet. And my first building that I called on was the multi-tenant building up on 12th and Wall in front of that old. Now it's turned down, but it was like the Panda Express building. That was the first building I started calling on, and then they had me do on other ones, and then graduated from there. Yeah, that's how I got into the business. So
that's
I have
really
to thank Tim and Robert and Taylor.
And Taylor. Yeah. I just kind of a side note, but I started with Robert Cooper. My brother actually hired Robert Cooper, I think out of college. Robert used to come to my house when I was a kid, and so I've known him my whole life. And just an exceptional guy and also an incredible broker. probably one of the best tenant rep brokers I've ever known. Cooper, just very incredible. But it's one of those things where, first of all, I think we should talk about how weird tenant rep brokers
Totally.
are. Like, it's a very strange segment of commercial real estate. You have office brokers, which are usually like these super buttoned up guys. They traditionally wear suits, and they're very put together. And then you have industrial guys, which have their own kind of thing going on. But tenant rep brokers, first of all, they're dress attire. You guys are actually dressed nice for tenant rep brokers. But
I got a pocket on my T-shirt because I dressed up for this.
like, what do you have to be like to be a tenant rep? What are some of the attributes of a tenant rep broker? They're misfits. That's the way I would describe us.
I mean, it's funny because as a landlord guy, most developers or landlords, you can almost put them in a box. Mm-hmm. They're
Very structured.
Very structured.
organized.
They're kind of built the same.
Yeah.
You kind of know what info they want. As a tenant rep broker, you have no clue sometimes what your tenant's going to ask you or what you want or what's important to them. Mm-hmm. And it's easy. As a landlord guy, they just want tenants. They want tenants that can pay rent. And so I would say you have to be extremely flexible. I mean, it's not funny, but you got to be flexible. And they're going to ask, is there more women that are going to come to this, or is there more men? You just got to be flexible in how you think and talk and the conversations you have to have in the car.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, can we talk about that?
Yeah,
Like how long we have to be in the car with the tenant? You go into a pitch meeting with a landlord guy, and you're in there for an hour. Mm-hmm. And this tenant rep stuff, I mean, you're in the car for 10 hours sometimes.
How many times?
Couple days in a row.
Couple days in a row.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me this the other day. How many times have I gone to the airport, picked up a client from out of town from some national retailer, and toured for 10 hours of the Wasatch Front? How many times have you done that in your career?
I lost count.
I mean, hundreds, thousands of times.
Feels like it. Yeah. I mean,
I could autopilot the Wasatch Front at this point.
yeah. I had that new airport dialed in 2 hours. Like, I knew exactly what to do. You know what I mean? But
Well, it's interesting too. That's the one interesting thing about being a tenant rep broker is everybody has. I mean, this is unique. Adam and I were talking about this earlier.
little prep for this.
You have your stops. That's kind of weird. Like Adam knows where he's going to stop to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
On a tenant rep tour.
Totally. Yeah.
You know?
Certain clients are like, all right, we're the best ones. And I have to have them mapped out. Grand America. Boom.
Yeah.
Downtown.
We're the best
McDonald's
rep-
has clean
restaurants.
restrooms.
Yeah.
Like we stop at a McDonald's.
Or coffee. Like they always want coffee.
Yeah.
Where are you going
whatever.
to go?
Yeah. And then you're always selecting like, what restaurants do we want to take them
yeah.
to? Do you want to give them like a flair of Utah?
Oh, yeah.
And so I have a funny story. One time I had a bunch of guys in from Texas. This was early on in my career. And I was like, I'm going to take these guys to the best barbecue place in Utah. And I mean, I'm stupid. Like, I didn't know, right?
I'm interested to hear.
I take these Texas guys to whatever I thought was the best barbecue place in Utah. And they complained from the second we pulled up to that parking lot all the way through the line, through the production line. They complained about the food. The ribs were too dry. The ribs were this. The pulled pork was that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I will never take someone who's from a specific region to a specific cuisine ever again.
Yeah. I had a guy ask me if the ground was salty.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, want to get out and taste it? Get out there, bro. Yeah.
And sometimes,
He was the same guy who ate a full duck up here at Sawadi.
wow.
Yeah. That was,
And
we
a lot
just
of-
sat there watching him eat it.
A lot of times, this is these companies' first impression of Utah. Like you're kind of the front line of educating them on what's the deal with Utah. Tell me about Utah. And I don't get this question that much anymore, but when I was young, like in the 90s and in the early 2000s, the first question was like, are you Mormon?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm Mormon.
I think we can go down
Yeah.
that list,
Hit 'em.
Chad.
Yeah.
Like,
How many?
are you Mormon? How many wives do you have?
Yeah.
What's the elevation of Mount Olympus?
Yeah. What's up?
Get that one. How many people live in the Salt Lake Valley? Obviously, you got to know that as a
Yeah,
broker,
yeah.
or just tip to tail how many people
There's
live
like the
in
typical
this area.
population questions, but what's unique is I don't imagine if they're touring other markets, they're like, well, how many Protestants are here, how many Catholics, but they'll say, hey, how many Mormons live here too?
Yeah.
And it's actually critical for some tenants.
Right. Well, like, for example, in Utah County, if you're a restaurant, traditionally you're not open on Sunday in Utah County and your alcohol sales will be less. That's a big deal. Like for a Cheesecake Factory or something, you're talking about a significant portion of their sales.
And there's some guesstimation, right? I was just in the car a few weeks ago with Qdoba, and they said, should we open on Sundays? That's a really valid question.
It is.
And our response was, it depends where you are in the state of Utah.
Totally.
And so you kind of have to know some of the nuances of this market and the population and the culture, because it can make a difference.
Yep.
I always say on that front, this is a generalization, but it's generally true. You go to Salt Lake City, and that has the least amount of LDS people, paradoxically. And then the further away from Salt Lake you get, the more dense the Mormon population becomes. And so it's a general rule.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Ogden, you could make an argument, is different than that, but generally speaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of retailers who have chosen not to open on Sundays. And then also Utah County is a good example. I've seen more retailers open up on Sunday in Utah County the last couple of years, which I didn't think I'd see. So things change, and that's part of our job, right?
Right.
Being right on
I
the
would say
forefront
just
of
in
that.
the 21 or 22, 23 years I've been doing this, we've seen that evolution, right?
Yeah.
Where the response was like, no, don't open on Sundays. And now our response is, it depends where you are.
Yeah, early on in my career, I remember so many restaurants just wouldn't ever consider Utah, whether it was Cheesecake Factory or whatever, because it was like, no, you guys don't drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And then either people started drinking more alcohol or people started admitting they were drinking more alcohol. I don't know which, but like the consumption is clearly up.
Well, the Cheesecake Factory manager at Fashion Place told me that their sales of cheesecake are some of the highest in the country.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make
And
up for the booze.
That's another interesting thing that,
Sugar.
well, I was just, sugar, but I was just what you made me think of was, as a tenant rep broker, you have to know so many like facts. For example, Cheesecake Factory and Fashion Place does whatever in sales.
Yeah.
And then you're driving down the street, it's like Arby's. Oh, that Arby's does $1.2 million.
Right.
Like, you are just a treasure trove of information. And if you don't have it, obviously you'll go back and get it, and then you'll have it for the next one. But you are just like a walking, talking, driving information machine.
Totally.
Which is exhausting.
Yeah.
Oh, you get done with those tours, you're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
You want to like go home and just
Stare at
do
a wall.
nothing and not talk to anyone.
Yeah.
You're done.
I've often asked the people that we tour, our clients, like, are you as exhausted as I am? And they usually say yes, but I don't think they are.
Well, you're driving. When I first had started, and I talked about this a little bit, I think we were kind of prepping for this, but I had the chance to ride with Taylor in the back of like his SUV and listen to how he did it and how he conversed back and forth. Plus having the third person in there, sometimes if it's a junior guy, it takes the load off the guy driving, that you can focus on how you're going to sell that next property that you're driving to, instead of all the bananas questions you got to come up with, or just the conversation as a whole. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story.
it is yeah.
I was, I can't remember who my mentor was on this tour, but I was touring with somebody when I was young, and I was driving, and he was talking to the client, and we were going to the next site, because you typically look at 25 sites in a day. And I knew there was a shortcut through a bunch of neighborhoods to get to the next site. And so I did that. I went through neighborhood, got there 10 minutes quicker, blah, blah, blah. We looked at the site, and then we went to lunch. And as we were going to lunch, he pulled me aside and he's like, hey, don't ever do that again. And I was like, don't ever do what? He's like, don't ever take a shortcut that doesn't show the client the way that customers would show up to their retail store.
Yep.
If customers are going to go on the main road, for the most part, take them that way. So they don't get some weird impression that like you got to wind through a neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's just little lessons like that you learn along the way from other tenant rep brokers who were our mentors.
Oh yeah.
There's a million
I totally
of those.
agree.
Anybody with a little humility knows they can always learn something from somebody else. And I think we're all in that boat, just continually learning how to do things better. The worst, though, speaking of traffic, isn't that the worst when you're on a time schedule to either get your client back to the airport or see so many because you've got to hit the southern part of the Wasatch Front the next day, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're in unexpected traffic. And I'm sure that's a global problem.
Yeah.
Right? Everywhere.
Yeah.
But you can burn 2 or 3 hours sitting in traffic. And
yeah.
that poses a more unique problem,
Yeah.
really.
You got to be good behind the wheel.
Yeah.
You got to be aggressive, but you got to be smart. There's a lot to it. Got to have I had a client who he was a national guy that was working on the deal. Won't say who, but he was pissed that I only had a sedan. And I'm like, all right. So the next time he rolled in, I had an SUV. I'm like, is this big enough for you, brother? He was a big dude. But yeah, you're right. Traffic, man. You have to pay attention. And we
kind
talked
of have
about
to know where to go and at what time of day. If you're going to be in Saratoga, for example, at 4 p.m., it's now one of the busiest places to try and tour and get through.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
Yeah, just traffic in general in the Wasatch Front is so much crazier than it used to be. But yeah, you kind of set your schedule up in reverse order so you're going against traffic wherever you go.
That's a pretty drive to Logan in the morning. Just go up there and then bust it out and then make your way back. You know?
Have you guys ever been or heard of someone in an accident?
I have been in one.
You on a tour?
I rear-ended somebody. Yeah, not hard. I mean, it was over in Fort Union. We were pulling out of one of those exits by the Chick-fil-A, and I bumped someone in front of me, so we pulled over. We were all right. I got pulled over in Lehigh going too fast one time.
I've been pulled over.
That was embarrassing.
I've been pulled over going too fast.
They didn't give you the broker exemption?
My guy tried to fight for me. He's like, hey, he's trying to get me down to price. And he's like, I don't care.
I don't care who you are.
I got a lot of exemptions for brokers.
I got pulled over twice in Wyoming. And this is when I was...
This was unrelated to Tenant Rep brokerage.
No, this is fully Tenant Rep. So at the time, Matt Harlan and Taylor were having me work on the Sportsman's Warehouse account. And so they're like, hey, we need your help. We need you to drive, Gillette and all those places. I got pulled over in 2 separate days driving, because the speed limits are like 50 and you're out in the plains. It feels so slow. I got pulled over and I actually used I actually represent Sportsman's Warehouse. Did you hunt by chance? And I got out of it the first time. And then the second time was like, well, we saw you got pulled over yesterday. Here's your ticket.
That brings up another interesting point is sometimes you align with Sportsman's Warehouse is a great example. Sometimes you align with who you're representing, like from a company culture standpoint, like Sportsman's Warehouse, I hunt, I do whatever. And that works out well. But have you ever lined up with a client that kind of doesn't fit you, but you still have to represent them?
Like if I rep somebody that did wigs?
Well, like for example,
Or hair replacement, the Bosley hair replacement dude. I walked in here with a sweet flow one day. Right?
I represented Starbucks for years. Ben Brown and I did.
Man.
And I don't drink coffee. And so at first it was kind of like, I wasn't sure if I should tell them, like, do I not drink coffee? Do I do? But eventually I was like, I don't drink coffee. And they were into it. They were like, oh, that's great because we want to understand what the Utah consumer is thinking relative to people that don't drink coffee, people that do. And so it kind of worked out well, but it was weird. I don't consume the product that these people are selling.
Yeah. That's, I changed my gym membership when I started working with Planet Fitness, right? I changed from Vasa. Can I say it on camera? I changed from Vasa to Planet Fitness when I started doing Planet Fitness.
Until you represent Vasa. Then you have to go back to
if they shift, but you do want to support your clients the best that you can and show that you understand their product, and so it is tricky when you don't.
I've been on a Les Schwab tire tour and got a flat, and so we went to a Les Schwab tire, which was pretty cool.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what else is funny sometimes too? You'll have really high level people in from whether it's Winco or whatever. You'll show up with the CEO or the director of whatever to some rando store in the middle of Rando, Utah, walk in and you're talking to the manager of the store and you're like, hey, this is the CEO of the company. And they're like, what? It's just kind of funny to watch that collision happen in real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's funny.
I think, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we were talking about driving. This is maybe a serious note, but we're talking about things that happen when we're driving. And it just made me think, how important it is.
To drive?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And
Like-
we talk about how you pre-drive your tour.
To pre-drive. Like we have
Oh, yeah.
so much
Yeah.
technology at our
Right.
hands right now, which we could dive into that if you wanted to,
Yeah.
and ways that we can be better,
Yeah.
that sometimes we forget that we need to get in the car and drive it. And
Yeah.
there is so much value. I just don't know that that ever goes away with any type of AI product we use or placer data or anything like this. I just think it is critical to, if you're going to be driving somebody for an hour, I think it's a great practice to go drive that a few days prior. The exact route you want to take even. It's very fundamental. Sometimes I forget and don't do it because we're busy.
Yeah.
But it's critical to go see things.
Sundays are my jam. Sunday mornings.
Yeah. That's a great time.
I was telling JR's son, I'm like, get out there in the mornings. Go before you go to church or something. But
Yeah.
and not only just if he's driving for a need with a tenant, you're going to go out there and if you sit at an intersection, you can come up. You just got to slow down. But pre-driving the tour is essential. You look so much better for your client walking in that car the next week. You got to do it within a week. You can't do it a month. You got to
Things change.
fresh stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a funny story
Yeah. Go.
that relates to what you're saying. So I'm representing this national company. I'm going to not use names to protect innocent people, but I'm representing this national company that is the craziest, like fastest expanding tenant at that time. And there's a master broker involved, which basically means there's a person who represents the company overall, and then they hire me as the sub broker in this market. And I'm supposed to know this market, and I want to talk about this market, but this master broker wanted to be the guy in charge, and so he wanted to tell everything about the market, which, fine, whatever. He doesn't know it, but do your thing. So we're in the car with the client, who's the head of this company. Big deal. We're in Provo at University Crossing, and we show up, and there had been a vacancy, but I knew that, but the master broker didn't know that. Master broker starts talking, blah, 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 blah. And the guy goes, what about this space right here? It's vacant. And I said, yeah, no, that just became vacant last week. And he said, well, why didn't you tell me that, looking at the master broker? And he's like, well, I didn't know that. He's like, get out of the car, to the master broker. And the guy's like, what? He's like, get out of the car. And so the guy got out of the car. I'm driving. He's in the back seat. Client's in the front seat. And the guy gets out, closes the door, and he said, drive. And I was like, what? And he's like, drive, just leave him here. And I was like, okay. So I drive, it's the winter time. I drive away. And I was like, should we go back and get, what's his name? And he's like, nah, give him 30 minutes. He's like, that guy has no idea what he's talking about. I don't want him to say another word this entire tour. I just want to hear from you. And I was like, okay, we come back after 30 minutes. He's just pacing back and forth. His face is red. It's freezing. That was very awkward.
Dang.
But to your point, you can really get burned on simple, small things like that if you don't do your homework. And all this cool technology is not going to do one thing for you if you just don't look at it a week before, a couple of days before, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing too is I think at different times of our career, maybe it was just me the first 3 or 4 years after some hard lessons where you feel like you have to have the answer for your client every single time. And if you don't, then you think you look bad, so you render a really educated guess.
Especially when you're young. You feel
When
like
you're
you
young.
have to answer that question on the spot.
And I think now, I think people can see through that. And these tenants that expand into all these other states and have experience with other brokers, they can kind of see, when you're guessing. And so it is if you don't know the answer to something, I think we've all learned, just say I don't know. And that's you get so much more credibility for being honest and being genuine. And
these companies are making multi-million-dollar decisions, not completely based on what you're saying, but in part based on your representations. I mean, some of these stores, a grocery store costs $75 million to buy the land, build the store, inventory, open. These are huge investments.
Yeah.
So
what's the hardest thing is I represent a tenant that sometimes we like to get out there a little bit early, kind of before the trade area is all the way established, and traffic counts are so inaccurate in some of these areas, and sort of like, well, what do you think the traffic count is?
Yeah. You're like,
I'm
"Oh,
like,
well, I
oh
don't know.
man, I don't know.
I'll stand out here with a clicker tomorrow.
Yeah. So it is hard. It's easy to get into that. I could throw out a pretty good guess,
Yeah.
but it's just dangerous.
Here's one that I learned from Robert Taylor was if the LDS church has built the chapels, you can be like, hey, they're already building the chapels out here, so
Population's
it's going to
probably
go.
coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody
There's
knows the demos better than them.
Yeah.
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 So,
Yeah. It's a good point. I'd never heard that, but
Yeah.
that actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the exact number is they use, but they know what they're doing.
Yeah. Kind of nice.
Do you think in today's world, like when I started in Utah, you could never be just a tenant rep broker? There probably wasn't enough commission dollars flowing through the state of Utah to support 1 or 2 or 5. But like in California or whatever, there were tenant rep brokers. That's all they did. Do you think in today's Utah that's possible? Because you guys do a mix of everything, but the majority of what you do, and probably what I do maybe, is tenant rep, has been in the past.
That's a really interesting point. And my answer is no. I don't know many guys in our market that say I am only a tenant rep guy. Maybe 1 or 2, but
They're only repping like one client.
yeah, maybe they don't have as ambitious of goals to tackle the world. They're fine with representing 1 or 2 tenants.
Well, they don't have to burn.
It's almost like
If
niche.
they were silver spoon their whole life and they're like, yeah, I rep this guy, you're like,
Yeah.
Those of us that weren't,
Well,
we
not
got
only
to burn
that,
our chest every day.
there is years ago, maybe a decade ago, I heard a statistic, and we know how brokers say statistics. We guess, which I just said we don't do. But
broker math. I call it broker math.
broker math, yeah.
You take whatever a broker says, you take it, you cut it in half. That's the actual number.
Yes.
It's easy math.
I had we brought some guys in from Atlanta. They had relocated to Utah. We hired them as brokers, and they did some broker calculations. But really, they said based on our population, there's about 2 to 3x the number of commercial real estate brokers that there were in a place like Atlanta, Georgia. I'd love to verify that.
We talked
sometime.
about this on another podcast,
okay.
and I actually did a study on this once. It's been some time, but to paraphrase the study, we basically have double the amount of commercial real estate agents per capita than like Arizona, California would be a totally different animal, but like comparable states, Denver, Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Las Vegas, we're clipping at like double the agents per capita.
Yeah,
There isn't double the commission dollars, which means
right.
Yeah.
there's just less money for more people.
And it makes it hard to specialize because then you feel like you're reducing, your productivity in half a little bit. But so I don't think that specialization is a key. And I would say this: I think a really good tenant broker is intimately familiar with how landlords think, and I believe that.
Oh, yeah.
A segment of my business that is doing some new development deals, leasing some existing space for clients, gives me a little bit of that landlord perspective to where I can help the tenants formulate a little better LOIs, come in a little more realistic, prepare them how a counter's going to likely come back. It just helps you stay a little bit more in touch with the market. So I think a good tenant rep broker probably has quite a few landlords that they work with as well.
Yeah, and I would even say investment sales also.
Oh, yeah.
Throwing some investment sales in there also helps you, gives you context, gives you way more data. Yeah, I don't particularly love landlord rep. I actually, when I started my career, my mentors were my brother Bob Moore and Herm Franks and John Owens, exceptional brokers, but exceptional tenant rep brokers too. And so I just immediately loved tenant rep brokerage. I did landlord representation, but I'm not good at it. It doesn't fit my personality. I definitely can do it and be super competent at it, but I excel at, I think, at tenant rep brokerage. And I love it. which is probably why I'm good at it.
Yeah. But you know the layers of like getting a deal from dirt to open of real estate price, construction price, soft costs, hard costs,
Yeah.
all those things that come into the site work and everything that makes you so good of a tenant rep broker that you can speak the language to the not only your tenant but to the developer, where you can help marry that so much easier. But at the beginning of my career, I didn't know. I had to learn from Taylor and Robert, like, look, here's what it takes to get one out of the ground. And I'm sitting there going, oh, okay. And then you wrap in the cap rates and the exit. And, it's, and when you, as a tenant rep broker, if you're really good, obviously you get the layers of the fees, and then.
Yeah, I do think that helps in a negotiation when you know where a landlord's at. And Chad, you brought up a great point about the investment sales, and you said exit. It's like, if real example is if I'm in the middle of arguing with a landlord that my tenant's only going to pay $45 versus another offer that came in at 50, and I know that my tenant is a better cap rate.
Yeah, for sure.
Now I'm positioned better, and so understanding all four corners, or five corners, or six corners, whatever there is of commercial real estate in that retail sector, I just think arms you with an ability to really represent that tenant better.
I think that's
I
right.
agree.
Do you think this is a very selfish statement? Self-serving.
We're
I should say.
brokers.
Yeah,
We're
this is
brokers.
a very self-serving rhetorical question. But do you feel like tenant brokers are more dynamic than some other brokers? Like a traditional, I just do investment sales or I just do landlord rep. Do you feel like you have to be way more dynamic? Like
I do.
I know a lot of tenant rep
Socially,
brokers.
you have to be. Some of the nerds that just know numbers, great. That's awesome. You know the numbers. But can you get in the car for 12 hours and listen to this guy who had a crazy flight coming over and calm him down? And by noon, is he going to be a good idea? Is he going to be in a good mood? And, are you going to eat at that right place? Are you going to go to that dinner to close him out? Or you have to be like, you got to be good.
That'd be really good.
gotta be-
It's not a money thing because like an investment broker can make millions. This guy makes millions.
Yeah.
It's not a money thing. It's just, and
So
I'm
can we,
actually not
but-
a super social guy. You guys are actually really social extroverts, but every really great tenant rep broker I know is an extrovert, is very social, is very likable. I'm just thinking about that in real time.
Yeah.
There's something there.
I think for me, like we always do these self-evaluations on ourselves, and we're our own harshest critics, or our spouse is our harshest critic. No. But like I find myself always gravitating, especially on a new relationship, to like, tell me about your family, where did you grow up, instead of focusing on real estate. I don't know. I understand the question. I don't know if the word is dynamic, but I do think extrovert and stuff like that probably comes into play, where I do feel like I'm really interested in all this other stuff besides real estate. And sometimes that double-edged sword of like, yeah, I can really buddy up to somebody. I can feel like I can build a relationship. Sometimes I get lost in that. If you're sitting at lunch and you're talking about real estate, and I'm like, yeah, how old were your kids again?
Yeah.
You got to come back. But yeah, I do think, like Adam said,
Sometimes they end up being your friends. I've gone to birthday
Yeah.
parties and flown out
Yeah.
of state for things. And obviously down in Vegas for ICSC, it's a ball because they want to,
yeah.
you take them out to dinners and things like that. But they do end up becoming, some can be friends, some end up being kind of knuckleheads, some of them, whatever.
I think you've got to want to do that. You've got to be built just naturally to want to sit in a car for 7 hours and talk about real estate and family and
You got to like
friends
people.
and-
You got to
Yeah.
You got to like people.
You gotta like people. Yeah, and so I'm reflecting on myself. How did I stumble into tenant rep brokerage? But I really remember early on in my career, it didn't come naturally to me. You guys are such naturals at that kind of thing, which is why you're so successful. But for me, it was like I had to like force myself and almost like script. What am I going to say to this person?
Right.
Because at the time I was 25 and they were 50, and it was very weird for me. And so a lot of it was formulaic, and now it comes more natural to me, but
Right.
it didn't come natural to me at first.
Yeah. Those are hard.
Those first tours are a little
And
nerve-wracking, man.
Yeah, I feel like the first 2 or 3 tours with the same person are challenging for that very reason. Like, you don't know what life situation they've come from, their background, we're supplying data that they're like, yeah, we actually wanted this over here.
Yeah. Or if they're a former agent that went in-house and how that goes, right?
Yeah.
So that one's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like, if you were so good, why are you in-house now, man?
Yeah.
No offense to them or whoever they are.
Yeah,
I had a
see-
lady look at Zillow the whole time because she was just worried about where she wanted to buy investment property, like her houses she wanted to buy. Yeah, that was, and I had to remind her when we got to the location, like, hey, we got to focus here.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny? You know what you're making me think is not only are tenant rep brokers very, I call it dynamic, but actually a lot of times the reps are really dynamic social people also,
Oh yeah, yeah,
which is different than a lot of other disciplines. Like you get a national office rep for Goldman Sachs, like awesome person, but probably not the most exciting, fun, crazy person.
Sure.
But you get
retail's fun as a whole. I mean,
it's fun. It's crazy.
it's where people
It's crazy.
go shop. You can talk about where you're going to get that coat, or they forgot a coat. Great, let's bounce in here and get you a coat for today, or whatever it is. Retail's fun. There's a reason why some of the office guys find themselves at ICSC, like the Utah kickoff party.
Yeah.
And if we're being
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
if we're being
'Cause we're
honest,
We're biased.
we're,
We're biased.
if we're being
good.
honest, big corporate commercial real estate thinks we're nutbags.
Oh yeah.
Like they don't understand retail brokerage, and they definitely don't understand retail tenant rep. We are weirdos. Like mavericks. Don't know. I don't know what they're doing. Just leave them alone. Give them a little office somewhere. Everyone else is wearing a suit. They're gonna come in wearing a t-shirt and a baseball cap and tennis shoes. Don't bother them.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes there are those
for-
real estate managers that are.
But like at a big shop, at a big brokerage, it's hard. And that's also why a lot of smaller brokerages had started, boutique brokerages. The majority of boutique brokerages that I can think of were started by retail tenant rep guys.
I was hoping you'd say that
Yeah.
because I completely agree with you.
Because there's just not a fit there.
Yeah.
You're at CBRE or whatever, and it's like they want you to fit into this box, and you don't fit into any box.
Yeah.
So there's that element too. What
When I got in, it was professional brokers, and then there was Prime and Coldwell Banker, but they hadn't done. It wasn't really that big yet. But there was the small shops, and I got in right when it kind of blew up from downtown at Commerce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Cooper, I worked for Cooper, and then he left 6 months after I started, and then I started working for my brother. But he left with Taylor and started Pro Brokers.
There you go. And retail dudes at Mavericks.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
How is I guess my question would be more like, what tools do you use in tenant brokerage that are different than other areas of commercial real estate? Are there specific technologies you guys are using? It's kind of a interesting segment.
It's
in that
wild
respect.
to see how you're integrating, because it's all tools. It's still a belly-to-belly business, but it's tools. And what are you going to use? I mean, Landglide was great, but now we've got our own back office stuff that we have, which kind of leads into what we also talked about, like what the tools that Newmark Mountain West provides our agents with is awesome.
Landglide is a parcel.
It's an app. Yeah, you
it's
can
a
pay like
parcel
$100
search,
a year,
yeah,
but it's
so-
quick because you can quickly look up like ownerships and then and it's on the app, right? It's fine.
I think it's just crazy right now what's available on the tool front.
Sure.
I mean, we're driving in cars looking at, like, if you represent a burger group, you're just looking at all the other burger guys and what their sales are.
Oh yeah,
It's almost like proprietary information almost doesn't exist anymore.
yeah.
And it's valuable though. Like that makes making a decision on real estate so much more educated, and the data that's available. We were chasing just recently a vacant bank building. It's been vacant for 12 months, and so we needed data on who was there. Now I'll just take a second and say, 18 years ago, I was doing some work for a sandwich company that started in
Blimpie?
Utah. No, not Blimpie. I wish. No. And we would sit with the owners of the company in the parking lot of a shopping center that we were interested in, and we would wait for the customer to go in and see if it was male or female. We'd look at what car they were driving,
Yeah.
and then we'd watch where they went, and we watched where they came from. And now, like, we have cell phone ping data
Yeah.
where,
Place your
just
AI
recently they're
or-
like,
Yeah.
well, how many people? Well, there's a Smith's right there, and this was in the parking lot, and we pulled placer day out of that data from that, and it tells us all that info.
Yeah.
And so the tools that we use are just incredible. And not only that, you can see, hey, after they visit this taco place, they end up going to Marshall's or Winco or whatever it is, and you can really make good, educated real estate decisions because of those tools if they're used right.
Yeah. Do you feel like there's risk there to our profession, specifically tenant rep brokerage?
I don't, because I'm self-absorbed broker, and nobody can replace me.
Going down. You're going down with the ship.
Yeah. No, but it's like what we talked about a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Like nothing really beats the intuition of driving and sitting there.
Market knowledge.
Yeah,
For
and-
25 years of doing it.
Even with all this info, I told you that I've got a tenant right now that's just entering Utah. And with all the data that they have and that we have, I say, hey, here's something you need to look at. They're up in Denver. Hey, I don't make an LOI until I see the site. I mean, there's still this need to physically be on site, see the traffic, feel the vibe, as we used to say, and understand it. And so, no, I don't think so. And I think the market changes so much that it takes boots on the ground, really.
Yeah, like one simple example is like you're touring with Burger King and they say, hey, Arby's or whatever is right there doing 1.3 million. And, we want to go on the pad right here. And you're like, yeah, sounds good. Also, you should know Wendy's just made a deal on that pad right there. And nobody knows about it yet, but I know about it. And they're paying $130,000. Like there's just a million little things like that where we have market intel that could never be packaged and sold or generated,
Yeah. Which is
large
why
scale.
you've got to be in this business 24/7. It feels like.
Yeah.
Like you just can't be. I mean, I've got friends and family that sell homes part-time. Like this is not, tenant rep brokerage is not a part-time business.
No.
You've got to absorb this into nearly your lifestyle. I mean, my wife and I are going out for dinner, and if I was repping Outback Steakhouse and I go to a steakhouse, I'm asking the manager, like, hey, what are sales here? Or how busy are
always
you
doing
at
that.
lunchtime? And so you've got to absorb yourself into the business.
Yeah, I think that's
Or when you're driving to dinner and you're just constantly like,
you're looking.
like looking, like
That's
getting honked
a
at.
write-off too for you, by the way.
Thanks.
that's a write-off. Yeah, everything's a write-off. He's going to Maui. He's looking good.
We all do.
Wait, don't say that out loud. Yeah,
Nope.
my bad.
Oh, yeah. You got to be committed. You have to get behind the car. You have to get behind the wheel. The windshield time you can't replace it.
Windshield time. That's a common term. Windshield time.
But you know what, Chad? You say, does it replace? Do I have a fear of that? No. But do I think we're going to have to keep evolving?
Yeah.
I no longer have to, justify my existence to this client by sitting and counting cars and seeing where their customer goes next. I've had to evolve and provide data at a different level. And we're going to do it again. Like we're going to have to just keep evolving to get people the right information. So
If you had to choose, we've all represented, because there's obviously we're talking about tenant representation, but within tenant representation, retail tenant representation, you could represent a big box like a Walmart or a Winco or a Target or whatever. You could represent a mid box, which means a Ross, a TJ Maxx, a Michaels, a Joann's, or whatever. You could represent pad users, which is like a Les Schwab or a restaurant or whatever. If you could choose just one to represent for the rest of your career, just one segment,
yes,
what would it be?
you go. I have no idea.
Banks.
I'm a yes to it.
Banks,
Oh,
so pads.
banks.
So pads.
There's
Pads.
layers to be made on that. Some of the times on the big box stuff, you're your fees will get cut down so much. But if you're representing a bank, for example, and let's say they'll land lease, there's 3 layers almost of fees that could be done, not just on that one site, you do it multiple times.
Yeah.
And then with the guys who buy it, you can go back and call the new guy who bought it and find out. There's just layers of how you can make money off of that. The big box stuff is fantastic. They just take a long time to get done.
A lot of risk too. A lot of risk.
Yeah.
Because it's a long time. Fee might be bigger, but the risk is gigantic if that deal falls through.
Yeah, Smiths cuts their legs out on 2 deals here. You're like, okay, there goes 2. If Zion's Bank decides, hey, Adam, instead of doing 10, we're only going to do 8. Right? You got 8.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
all right, interesting.
that's my bias. The math.
The math checks.
I don't know yet. I don't know.
A few years.
Like, of course, I'm not an optimistic person, so I'm thinking about all the negative reasons of what would happen if I had to pick just one.
Yeah.
I don't do a ton of big box stuff. I do a couple mid box, and those are hard with exclusives and everything else. But I'm probably with Adam, where I'd say a pad user. I like food. It's a little bit predictable. I know it well. I think I'd probably go pad.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's the most volume there. There's the least amount of risk there. For what it's worth, in the late 90s and early 2000s, mid-box tenant rep brokers. I mean, that was a time, man.
Yeah. Hollywood Video.
If you could transport back to 1998, they were killing it on mid-box, because mid-box was kind of like a new, relatively new thing. You'd have these mega power centers, and you'd have Guard Sports,
that was the age of
Circuit
power centers.
City, however, whoever else, I can't remember
all the
names that have gone
TJX brands.
bankrupt.
Yeah.
And they were paying like $4 a square foot on a 50,000 square foot. So, I mean, there were brokers in the late 90s making millions of dollars doing mid-box tenant rep on tenants that are all gone.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough. I represent a number, you guys do too, of mid-box users. Those are tough deals now. They're tough. They're fun, but they're tough. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, man, what we need to do is we need to have you guys back again and do this again, because
are we out of time?
I can keep talking. But
what other bullet points are we done?
we
can go A2 too.
What I want
squared times 2.
We can repeat this.
What I want to hit is would love to talk about, at the end of every podcast, we talk about market trends. And so let's gear this one specifically to retail tenant rep. Where do you guys see tenants going for the next 12 months, 24 months? Do you see more tenants coming into Utah, new tenants coming into Utah? We didn't even touch on new tenants coming into. We definitely got to do another pod.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
We're going to track you guys down in January. Probably going to have to be in a car, because you guys will be in a car somewhere. But
podcast from the car.
Podcast from the car. This is
a
amazing.
New thing. That's a new thing.
Can we set
Audio
up
may
these,
be a little sketchy.
these cameras in my caddy?
You know what? Like, we think that Utah has been discovered. I mean, we spent so many years just begging tenants to come to Utah.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Oh, Dealmakers Magazine? Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around still?
I don't know.
No,
That's where
I don't think so.
They used
Sorry
to,
if you guys are
I used
around.
to call.
Yeah.
That's where I remember
let
calling
us
those.
know. Let us know.
Dealmakers.
We'll have you on the podcast.
Dealmakers Mag. It went digital, and then I think it just died.
But it's like you go to ICSC and like from Utah, like, okay, yeah, give us your card. And now we don't even know what that
Mormons,
card
okay.
is. Yeah. It doesn't feel like that anymore.
No.
It feels like Utah's been discovered.
The opposite almost.
Yeah. But I still think there's so much more. I still think that there are so many uses and so many categories. I shouldn't say categories. So many uses in different categories that aren't here. I mean, even some of this urban development. I mean, there's users that are coming out of Arizona, Denver, back east that are like, yeah, we can, whether it's a change in alcohol licensing or something, all the changes and evolution that Salt Lake and Utah's been through, people are still coming. And so I don't think it slows. I don't think it's like I think it's been discovered and we've had a bulk of interest.
I
And
think, since COVID, it's
I was just going to say
started
the last
going
3 or
up.
4 years,
Yeah.
we're just on this steady trend
Yeah.
where tenants eventually want to be in Utah. And I think that's going to,
Who were some of the tenants that originated here that took off, that went out? Cafe Rio?
Cafe Rio,
Warehouse.
Sportsman? It used to be.
Zupa's did great. That was
Yeah.
a tenant I was referencing before that I did
Zupa's,
some early
Right.
work with. And
Swig most recently
Right.
is a Crumble.
Because it used to be who's
Swig.
going to come in from
Yeah.
Idaho, Vegas,
Yeah.
Colorado. Now it's like things have changed. I mean, what do we have now? We're in population over 4 million in Utah, or close to it.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Close
Do you
to
remember
it.
when we
I
hit
don't
1 million
think we're over
people?
4. Yeah.
in the
in the state.
a million people in the state.
Yeah, we were super
I
young,
think-
but
I remember when we hit 1 million people in Salt Lake County.
yeah,
Yeah. The
I just remember we're
Wasatch
super
Front.
young when they're like, we're over 1 million. But
Yeah.
So
to
you
answer
see
your
it-
question,
you
I
see
see
it
that.
continue.
I see it continuing.
Yeah. I do
You know?
too. I don't think it slows. I
Even
don't.
with like Jack in the Box, they were here once and then they came back, and
Yeah,
we were
that's
one of the
right.
last ones because they circled us. They were in Idaho, Vegas, blah blah blah. And then when I picked them up in 2013, there was all those years, and then finally it was the right time, and after COVID, and they're like, let's go.
Yeah.
But Utahns love to eat.
Yeah.
My dad was in the food industry.
we
Everyone's
keep
got to
going,
eat.
we keep gravitating to food. Like that's been the biggest
Yeah.
Last couple
Shopping
of
centers
years.
are full of
influx of
places to eat, man.
Tenants, yeah.
All right?
One cool, I mean, we're kind of closing out here, but one cool thing about retail tenant rep brokerage is when you tell somebody at a party or something, and they say, "What do you do?" And you're like, "I'm a commercial real estate broker," and they're like, "I don't know what that means. I really don't want to ask this guy any more questions." But most of them are like, "So you sell houses or what?" And like, some people would say, "No, I'm a commercial real estate broker, so I do office," and they're like, "I don't know what he's saying." But when you say I'm a retail tenant rep broker, like, I represent a grocery store or
Yeah.
a restaurant. They're like, "Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Hey, I was in California the other day. Can
And they got
you-
something
Oh,
to
yeah.
say.
Can you
Oh, yeah.
get whoever to come
yeah.
here?" Like that's
the
what
best.
we do. It's the most public facing part, I think, of commercial real estate.
Totally is.
People actually understand what you're saying in a very opaque industry. For most people that don't understand it and don't want to understand it, that's something you can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've adjusted when people say, "What do you do?" And it's like, "Oh, I help tenants find a new spot." Like
Yeah.
that's simple. And I've had to adjust it because I say I'm a commercial real estate broker. They're like, "Oh, okay. Can you sell my house? I got a duplex." And
hey, if I pay you 1%, will you sell my house?
yeah. Can I get a deal?
It is fun when you're talking to people wherever, airplanes, whatever. Hey, what do you, or if they're from Utah, what have you seen outside of Utah that you'd like to see here?
Yeah.
You know, what were some of the things? I remember when IKEA, like that was a big one. Oh, we got that IKEA. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
But restaurants are always fun to talk to people. People love to eat and drink. So that's fun. I mean, I don't know. You know, now with pickle, that's been kind of
Pickleball?
Pickleball.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole nother podcast.
That is the whole changing of shopping centers to
Yeah.
entertainment centers.
That's a great podcast. We're going to drag you guys back here. You're going
Yeah.
to be so mad about it.
I don't care.
But I can't wait. Let's circle back in January or February and do this again.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.
In the short
Thanks for
term,
having
Yeah.
me.
the Adams,
Yeah.
Adam Hawks, Adam Lewis, tenant rep super brokers. If anybody has tenant rep brokerage needs, call either one of these guys or both of these guys or all of these guys. They can help you.
Appreciate it.
They help dozens and dozens of clients expand throughout Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, Nevada. Guys,
Yeah.
thank you for spending just a little bit of time giving us your take.
It was great.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Job, Adams.
Thank you, guys.
Sorry we left you with so much editing.
Yeah.
We'll keep that in.
We'll be
Keep that
able
in
to
the
use about
podcast.
30 seconds of this.
All right.